Right, good morning, everybody, or should I say buongiorno this time, and welcome to May's edition of Salesperson of the Month. At Distology, I'm very, very excited to say I've got Jack Clementson on the call today. How you doing, Jack?
Absolutely over the moon to be here today, Steve. You know.
And it's another early one, isn't it? I'm putting these in bang first thing. I'm a bit concerned it may stop people trying to win it if I keep putting them in this time. But hey, beautiful day as well, isn't it, Jack?
It is beautiful. I'm full of enthusiasm for this, Steve, as you can tell.
I thought you might be. So you're a bit of a legend at Distology. All the vendors and partners are massive fan of you, but this is the first time on the podcast. Jack, so do you want to just give everyone a quick intro to Jack Clementson?
Intro to me. Okay, so I've worked at Distology now nearly 2.5 years, and I look after two of our biggest vendors, Okta and Bacardi. Decent.
And do you enjoy it? It's probably the first question from me.
Almost all the time.
Why? Why?
Look, I get the opportunity, really, I'd say, to, each and every day do quite different things. I've got two vendors that are completely different, completely different pieces of tech. And yeah, it's challenging but rewarding.
Good. Decent. Now, I think you do a great job, as you said, you are working on two of our biggest vendors, and how you manage your time and still service our partners and our vendors by doing that is a no mean feat. Right, to start off, I like a little quiz on these. For people that don't know, Jack is our Italian stallion. Jack, you're half Italian, aren't you?
Yes.
True. There you go.
You remind me of that all the time. Yes. Yeah.
So, to test Jack's Italian knowledge and his heritage, we've got an Italian quiz this morning. And Jack, because I like you so much, there's a prize from Steve Rowlands' exclusive wine rack. There's a bottle of Italian wine, mate. It's a Primitivo. Is that a good one? Yeah.
Potentially.
Full-bodied.
Yeah. From Co-op, yeah.
Not quite close. So I've got 6 questions. Because I'm in a good mood, if you can answer 3 questions correctly, this is yours. Are you ready?
Yes.
Right. Question 1. In which Italian city was Romeo and Juliet based?
Florence.
I'll tell you this after. Which city was pizza invented in?
Oh. Pisa.
Oh no! Which river flows through Rome?
Tiber.
Okay. What year did Italy enter World War I?
1915.
Which university, founded in 1088, is the oldest in Europe? Which town, city is it in?
I'm going to say Florence again.
Okay. Last question. Right, we're going to get into it. You've got 2 right at the moment. So if you get this right...
Wine's all mine.
It's all yours. Which Italian footballer has won the most caps? Take your time, Jack. Take your time. 35 answer.
Yes.
So, Jack, you got 2 right.
Oh.
So... yeah, you got the Tiber and you got World War I. The most capped player, I thought you would have got this, was Buffon. On 176 caps, Jack. So maybe next time you're back in the homeland, you need to integrate yourself more into the... So this is my night, so thanks, mate. Tell everyone about how you go about your job, because obviously, we talk about salesperson a month here, which is great, but you can't effectively win this role if you aren't representing your vendor correctly and our partners aren't selling the technology. So how do you bring those 2 parties together to make one perfect harmony?
I guess it's a case of understanding what partners are looking for from not just a distie, but also from a vendor, and giving them that level of support that they require. But also understanding, what their customers look for from the partner, and it's like finding that, I hate to use the word, but synergy, of joining everything together and just making everyone's life as easy as possible. It's not always straightforward, but yeah, that's what I try and aim to do.
No, I think you're spot on there. It is. It's sometimes a balancing act because vendors sometimes want one thing and partners want a different thing, and you do a great job at sort of marrying those together. Talk us through a day in the life of Jack Clementson. We don't want to know about your weekends because children watch this. Talk us through a weekday. You know, what could a typical day look like? And I know every day is not the same, but what could you be doing? And don't give away too many secrets, please.
I guess, first thing is sort of dealing with any immediate issues that have sort of come over in the evening, and then catching up with both vendors, prospecting new partners, looking after our present ones, and certainly for one of my vendors at the moment, it's going after new opportunities. Really, trying to find AEs within existing partners that maybe haven't heard of Ricardo before, and having that discussion with them.
So what I'm hearing from that advice on that in one word, it's effectively trying to enable the partners, isn't it? They can have that ammunition, so they can have the good conversations with their customers themselves. And it's no mean feat, that, Jack, because there's a lot of noise out there. There's lots of different vendors and lots of different distributors. So I think it's about standing out from the rest and adding that value from being, cutting down the BS and making it nice and accessible for partners. So you said at the beginning you've been at Distology for a number of years now. What sort of changes have you seen in that time? Because what has changed? So what have you noticed?
Absolutely everything's changed. We're in the process of moving to new offices, so that's exciting. We've definitely outgrown the present one. The internet's reliability in our current office has changed. It used to be great, and it's now flimsy at best. The sales team has grown essentially from what was 4 people to about 15 or 16 now. It's been a pretty intense journey. Even through lockdown and everything else last year, we were still growing, which had its own difficulties. And we're very lucky, really, to be in such a growth industry that's only really gained from the disruption we've had over the past sort of 18 months.
Yeah, it was certainly tough in the early days. I don't want to bang on about COVID because we've talked about it to death, but I think how the team adapted was very impressive. From primarily being office based to being remote based, and of course where we can add value too is by visiting our partners and our vendors face to face, and not being able to do that. So I think everyone is looking forward to getting back out. And I know you'll probably be desperate to meet the guys from Ricardo because you've never met them yet, which is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just going to be great to be able to actually go out and see people, instead of having to do back-to-back Zooms and, coordinating your headphones to different, video conferencing solutions. Yeah, I cannot wait.
Decent. So here's a question. You mentioned you've worked with Ox and Ricardo, and they are, different technologies, but they do integrate. How do you sort of manage your time between the two, and which one do you prefer at the moment? Which is your favorite? This is a dangerous question, isn't it?
It is a very dangerous question. I wouldn't like to say which one I prefer. It depends probably what my last opportunity was, but it's a balancing act. A lot of other people deal with just one vendor, and it makes life an awful lot easier. But it also, I think, enabled me to prioritize what I should actually be doing, because you can get caught up in the weeds, sort of wasting time essentially, whereas I don't have that opportunity now because I've got to be focused. Yeah,
it's a very good point because, you have to be proactive at all times to add value, and, balancing your time and time management is absolutely key. Big question. So obviously, I think you've got some friends outside of work and you certainly got family. If they say what do you do? What is distribution? How do you explain that? Because I think a lot of people still in the industry either struggle or they don't quite get it. They've got a very archaic, I looked that one up, view of distribution. So how do you explain it to your friends and family?
It's a difficult one to do without their eyes glazing over. And I have tried.
That's what they think anyway, Jack, to be honest.
I've tried to do it in various different ways. And the one I've come up with is essentially, if you're, a new vendor come over from the USA or Israel or wherever it might be, and, first day in the UK, you can literally have it set up so that you've got a sales team, a finance team, a marketing team, an operations team all ready to go from day one. Instead of having to go out and recruit, everything that costs money, you don't even need to, in theory, you might not even have to put money up front or anything. You can just, day one, have that whole, UK knowledge, and a bit of European knowledge as well, and all those existing part of the relationships and utilize them immediately.
Yeah, I think it's a very good way of answering it. That you're right. A lot of vendors don't want to take that financial risk, or they want to sort of enter the marketplace cautiously, and that's where we can really help. So I like that. That's good. How's this month looking, Jack? Obviously, you had a great month last month, and that means in turn your partners did. How's this month looking, and because of course it's coming to our quarter end. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm very aware that this is being recorded. Yeah, last month was the difficult sort of middle child month where, of the quarter, where it's not the first month of the quarter where some things might slip in and it's not the end.
Yeah.
Where, most of the bulk of stuff comes into. This month's looking good. We're kind of back into that place now. There's a lot of opportunities coming in that, 12 months ago just wouldn't have been happening. So yeah, we're in a good place there. It's certainly a lot more interesting opportunities as well, because I think last year we spent most of the time sort of people covering the backs. So yeah, it is looking good. There's some big bits out there.
Yeah, I think, all jokes aside on the number, I think we are in a different position. I think last year people went into that sort of reactive phase and were sort of, certainly pausing projects because of the uncertainty. But I think, from speaking to the partners, there is that sort of buzz back in the marketplace, and people are sort of cracking on with stuff, which is, only going to benefit everyone in the channel. So that is a real positive. So yeah. Right, I've got no further questions. I'm sure you'd be very pleased to know that, Jack. I always sort of throw it back to you guys and say you've got one question only for me.
What do you see as, we've brought Lance on, obviously, and, we're starting to look at new technology, and we're going to, build even more of a story than we already have. What is most exciting for you about that? What are we going to be bringing on maybe in the next, quarter or next 6 months that you can tell us about?
Very, very good try at trying to get some info out of me. Obviously, I can't speak about vendors we haven't signed yet, but there's a few very exciting conversations going on at the moment. I think, especially with Lance coming on, it's really going to help us develop that story and identity in terms of vendors we work with, which in turn, flows through to the partners. We don't just want to have lots of different vendors which cover lots of different things and go in with a briefcase. That's not how we work. It's really to develop that story and make sure we've got technology which sort of covers all bases in terms of the identity stack we work with and the wider thing too. So when we are speaking to partners, there's a nice narrative behind the technologies we work with. There's a reason we take on a vendor because it integrates with a different one, or it certainly enhances a different technology we work with. So yes, there's going to be new vendors on board. There always is. Am I going to tell you who? No, but I'm sure you and a few people watching this will know some of the names if and when they appear over the next few months. So firmly sitting on the fence on that one, Jack.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Decent. So right, that is it for May's edition of Salesperson of the Month podcast. Congratulations again to Jack for winning, first time being on. How did you find it, Jack?
Yeah, I can't wait to improve on my test score next time around.
Yeah, you need to.
I'm trying to get this straight for that.
Yeah, mate, you'll get kicked out of Italy next time you go. Have you ever been?
Yeah, several times. Yeah.
You can get us on all good podcasts. You can get us on iTunes if you want to listen. Maybe when you're walking around the River Tiber, or sunbathing in Lake Garden. Yeah. And we'll catch you next month. So what's goodbye in Italian?
Ciao.
It's ciao from Jack, and it's arrivederci from me.